Zimbabwe, yes.
So you decide to leave the United Kingdom to go and live in Zimbabwe, and you hope everything goes well. But the truth is, sometimes things don't go so well. So this is my story of what I encountered when I moved to Zimbabwe.
It's been almost 2 years since I've moved back to Zimbabwe. So there's a few things that I would like to discuss with you. These were challenges, and these are things that you may need to consider before you move back to Zimbabwe. So first of all, a car. The car that I'm driving right now is the car that I had when I was in the UK. I was driving it over there, and at that time, this was the only car that I could send over. But looking back, this car was a bad choice. This is a Land Rover Discovery. It's not a typically good car to drive here in Zimbabwe because the parts are very expensive and it's not a very reliable car. So I had to spend quite a lot of money on this car just to make sure that it's on the road. In fact, there were times where the car was pretty much parked for a couple of months. So you need to choose a car which is very good with the roads here, and also a car which is well built. And this is where I would recommend all these Japanese cars, Toyota, Honda, yeah, those type of cars. So those cars are very, very good. So when it comes to the roads, yeah, the roads pretty much on the main highways, they are quite okay from what I've seen. But the roads which are in the neighborhoods, like where I used to live in Belvedere, oh yeah, they're very bad. They're really, really bad. I felt so sick. I mean, for about 3-4 days, I had stomach problems. So that's a no-no. You have to have a plan to have water. In my case, I was very lucky that I had water pretty much in front of the house. So we dug a well, which is about, I think 14, 15 meters. So that's the water that I use for the garden. I use that for cooking. I use it for drinking. So I was very, very lucky there. So you have to have a plan to have either a borehole or a well. But I highly recommend a borehole. But in my case, because the yard space was very small, I could not drill a borehole. In fact, they're not allowed. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, and that is electricity. Electricity can be really, really annoying, especially if you're used to having electricity 24/7. So in my case, in my area, the electricity was not too bad because we are close to an industry and there's always electricity. So whenever there's no electricity, pretty much it's a fault. But the annoying part is when there is a fault, it does take quite a long time to sometimes get it sorted. Sometimes a week, sometimes 4 days. So if you want reliable source of power, you're going to need to have some sort of a solar system. So it took a while. I mean, my first experience in getting my solar system was a terrible one. There was a company close by that installed the solar systems. So I approached them, and as soon as I gave them the money, the guys just disappeared for 2 days, and I had to chase them. And these guys had a company pretty much very close to where I stay, close to my house. So that was a very bad experience in terms of these companies wanting to work with locals. So it got to a point where I had to tell the company that I'm going to put them online and talk about how bad their services were. And as soon as I say that, that's when they changed their tune. They started saying, "Oh, okay, we'll fix it for you." But it was a very, very bad experience. So I would highly recommend that you use companies which are very reputable. I know it will cost a bit more, but if you use reputable companies, you won't have a lot of problems when it comes to getting your services done. Okay, so moving on to the next thing, internet. Internet was another one. Now, I have an online business, so it means that internet for me is something that I have to have 24/7. So when I first got here, there were two services in my area, Tel One and the other one is called Liquid. Liquid was very good because both of these services were both fiber. So they have fiber installation straight to the actual house. So the internet was very stable. But the only problem was with Liquid, they became very, very expensive. In fact, at one point it was $300 for unlimited. And that was a lot. So I had to ditch them and then I moved on to Tel One. But when I moved to Tel One, that was another problem. Tel One was cheaper, but not very reliable. I think because it was shared in the whole area, when it came to the peak time, the download speed was down to about 1 megabit per second, which was ridiculous. But if I wanted to do any decent work, it had to be very late at night after 12. That's when sort of like the speeds got better. So basically they were overloaded. That's where the problem was. But after about a couple of months, I mean, their service improved. So I was really, happy that their servicing improved. So right now I'm actually using them. I'm not using the unlimited part of the package. I only use the 120 gig per month, which is pretty much enough, just about enough for what I need. But if you want to use, let's say, if you want to go for the package, the unlimited, it's $90 per month, which is, not too bad. Now, let's talk about the cost of living. In my case, the cost of living was not too bad because I like growing my own food. So I have my own vegetables that I grow. So my vegetables are sorted. I also have some chickens at the farm. So really on food, I don't spend quite a lot. And I don't eat a lot of junk food. I don't eat out as well. So that side of things is not too bad. It's actually very, 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 very affordable. I mean, if you don't eat out, I mean, I don't drink as well. So I spend very little on food. And now when it comes to the bills, the bills compared to the UK are close to nothing. The electricity bill, we're talking about $30 per month, just for a basic household, like mine. And at times I was using my incubator, so you can imagine the incubator, takes a lot of power, but it was okay. $30-40 max is what I'll use per month. And this is pay as you go, by the way, so you don't have to stress about being stuck in a contract situation where you have to pay quarterly or whatever it is. So pay as you go. They have an electric meter, which I thought was very good because whenever you need it, you top it up and pretty much you're good to go. So that's the electricity. The fuel, again, the fuel is not too bad. Now, someone in the comments was asking me about the food. Like they were saying that are there any food shortages and all that. From where I am at the moment, no, there's no food shortages. Cooking oil, all that stuff is there. I shop at the local Pick and Pay, so pretty much everything is okay. Everything is there. There's no food shortages. So generally, the vibe of Zimbabwe, in fact, it is a positive negative. I know it sounds crazy. The lifestyle here is too relaxed to a point where you just end up chilling instead of working. Like in my case, as I mentioned before, I have an online business. So when people come over, wow, that's a lot of water. Yeah, so sometimes when the local guys, pass through to check on me, we end up talking, and sometimes I lose track of time, and before you know it, it's midday. And the work that I was supposed to have done in the morning is not done. So the life here is very, very chilled, very laid back. There's no rushing like how it is when we are in the UK. Because when I was in the UK, time just seems to go fast. But over here, it's pretty laid back. So that's what I noticed here. Right, so let's talk about the weather. there were times in October where it was very, very hot, like really, really hot. But generally speaking, the temperatures are, bearable, very nice. And for me, it affects my mood. I'm mostly very happy, smiling, as compared to waking up in the cold or in the rain. But of course, there's also summertime in the UK, so I don't want to make it seem like it's always raining and it's always gloomy. But over here, for the most part, the weather is very, very good. Okay, so let's talk about the topic that majority of people like talking about, which is the economy. So the way I look at it is, in Zimbabwe here, it's pretty much an informal sector. It's a cash society, so you're not going to have a lot of loans, or banks and stuff like that. So a lot of the money is on the ground. So what I've realized myself, or what I've noticed myself is, yes, it's good for the country, but in terms of you surviving, if you have something to sell or you have a service, definitely you'll make money because there is cash on the ground. And what I also realized is there's a lot of money coming from the diaspora into Zimbabwe. So if you can imagine tapping into that 1 billion per year that's sent over here, pretty much you're good. But if you come over here as a spender, then you're in big trouble because your money is going out and pretty much that's it. But if you have a way of selling something or generating money, then you should be comfortable. Now, I know a lot of people want these big wins, like you come here, you go into business, whether it's farming, whether it's mining, and you're making pretty much thousands of dollars. Now, if you look at it that way, for you to make thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, you'd also need to invest in a lot of money too for you to be able to get that money. So in my opinion, you just need to start slow and just make your money, in increments as you work towards your retirement or as you work towards growing your business. So that way you won't have too much pressure of, well, you need to make so much money. And also the other thing is, a lot of people, when they come over here, they want to compare themselves to people that already have been here in Zimbabwe. Well, that's a massive difference because for anyone who's in the UK, for the most part, we are living our life there just to cover our basic needs, food, food, electricity, rent, mortgages, whatever it is that you're doing. So that's what the majority of the money covers. So the guys over here have been building their base for a long time, which means if you want to compare yourself with them, they are pretty much ahead. Because there were instances where opportunities would arise here in Zimbabwe where people would make a lot of money. Now, most of us miss that. So we can't really compare. So if you're coming here, I would highly recommend that you don't compare yourself with anyone, you don't compete with anyone. You're coming here and you have to be laser focused because this is about you. It's about your retirement, it's about yourself. So if you try to compare yourself with other people, then I think you're going to be in a very serious problem because you're going to be depressed, you're going to feel like things aren't moving, things aren't working well for you. So I would say, start slowly and just do your things step by step. The next thing I want to talk about is, let's say you are in the UK right now and you're thinking of retiring. Well, you need to get yourself land or at least buy a stand because rentals here are very, very expensive. Now, I'm talking about Harare because that's what I'm familiar with. I'm not sure how it is with other cities, but it is very expensive. It can, especially if you go to Borodale, all those top neighborhoods, you are talking about $1,000 per month in rent. for a nice, decent house. So you would need to have some sort of income giving you that amount of money for you to be living here. And a job is not going to really give you that unless obviously you have a top job over here. So rent is a no-no if you're planning to come over here and live in Zimbabwe. So I would say get yourself a house, because once you're rent-free, you are good to go. You don't have to worry about much. I mean, like as I mentioned before, food is quite affordable. So if your rent is covered, pretty much you're 90% of the way to having a decent lifestyle. Now, the other thing also I want to talk about is when you get your land. In my experience and what I've gone through, we had to pay lawyers a lot of money for due diligence, because there's a lot of scams that happen when it comes to land over here. So in most cases, if you hear someone saying, oh, here's a piece of land, it's very cheap, and send the money over. And it happened to me. I mean, of course, I didn't send the money, but these opportunities arise where someone says, yeah, put the money into my bank account and yeah, we'll make the deal work. It doesn't work. You need to go through lawyers. When it comes to land over here, everything is well documented. If something has title deeds, it's proper. So you would have to pay some money to a lawyer to do the due diligence. Now, the due diligence is very important because this is what determines whether the land does belong to the person they say they are, and everything is in the deeds office. So they do all those checks, and then they'll come to you and advise that, well, the land you're buying or the house you're buying is legit, it's proper, so go ahead. If it's not, then they'll tell you straight away it's not. Now, of course, you may be thinking, well, why pay all this money to the lawyers? Well, I can tell you right now that there are situations where we could have lost a lot of money, because especially the farmlands, there's a lot of dodginess happening there. A farm can have title deeds, but it won't have the other documents that are needed for you to get your deeds for the portion of land that you purchase. So you need proper lawyers to go in and do those checks for you before you purchase anything. Yes, it's a lot of money, but if you have to think about it this way, would you not rather pay $1,000 to the lawyers than lose, let's say, $100,000? That's how I looked at it. So yeah, you definitely need to do that. In terms of the houses as well, same thing. You want to make sure that you're buying something that's legit, because this is about your retirement. You want to make sure that you purchase something that is, proper. So use lawyers. Don't just go ahead and purchase the house because the price is cheap. Okay, so pretty much I think, yeah, that's about it. That was my experience so far here in Zimbabwe. But don't listen to what a lot of people, things that a lot of people say, because a lot of it is very negative. And majority of these people who are saying all these negative things are not actually on the ground. So I would say come here, come on the ground, take a look and see for yourself before you make that decision. And that way you can make a very well-informed decision. Even me, I may be biased towards Zimbabwe, so don't just listen to me, and don't just listen to anyone either. Come over here, come on the ground, and see for yourself if you like the place. But one thing I can tell you is, if you come here on holiday and coming here to stay, those are two different things, because obviously the mindset is different, and you're here for a short while, so you're not thinking of staying, so you won't get a true picture of Zimbabwe. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching. See you in another one. Take care.